life's purpose. And I think that's pretty nice. How many of you every once in a while wonder what happened to your life's purpose? You have and then it seemed to disappear. Any of you have that happen? And then you watch the Olympics and go, I remember, I was going to be one of those. It's chilly in here, Andrew?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. So, Sean, you want to turn it a little bit, whatever way, I don't know which way it goes anymore. I kind of forget. So, John, thank you so much for joining us today. And we want to be here and to support you. So are you going to tell us what you do, too, besides just talking about transformation? I hope so. I think so. He's got that cute little grin. I like that. John walked into our place, and we haven't had many men in the center. And so Sean has had to support the whole masculinity of the center for quite some time here. And so now we have John. Yeah, but I mean, as being a practitioner here is what I'm talking about. I'm having a practice here. Sean uses the office here, and now John is doing that. Oh no, we have wonderful men coming in and out. We like that. Thank you so very much. So would you please welcome and ask John to please up. John Santos.
So Dottie, this is my other adopted brother. I have Ronnie and I have John. And I just would like you to know that John, I've known John for over 40 years.
Wow.
He is an amazing person. We are so gifted to have him on the earth. He is an Aikido master. He has his own dojo, Aikido of Japantown, Black Dragon Aikido. He is a licensed clinical therapist, and he's done therapy for close to 40 years. He is, I know he doesn't. He's my younger brother.
Getting younger all the time.
Absolutely. And he is an amazing actor, and he is just amazing. And he does a healing practice called Regenesis, which has literally saved my life. I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, and they were going to irradiate my thyroid, take it out, irradiate it. I was going to have to be on medication for the rest of my life, and John transformed it.
Yay!
I just have to introduce him because he is just the most amazing, the most gentle, the most humble, and the most strong, completely grounded person.
And did you bring plenty of business cards?
I did bring some in my bag.
Yes,
There,
okay.
so I'll
We
bring them.
agree. We believe in advertisement.
Okay. Well, I'll bring those out there.
Yes.
And thank you for asking. And Dottie, thank you very much for having me today. Thank you, Janet, for everything you said and for being my sister. Thank you so very much. And I just wanted to say to everybody, thank you for having me here today. And as we say when we start like an Aikido class, I always say, onegaishimasu. And onegaishimasu in Japanese means, as I intended, is I place myself in your hands. So this is a statement of trust, it's a statement of gratitude, and also cooperation with what we're about to do. So first of all, what I'd like to say, can everybody hear me comfortably?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, what I'd like to say is I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know. Okay? So, but I would like to share with you. So,
Thank you.
yeah, okay. Okay, so everybody's familiar with the term preaching to the choir?
Yes.
Okay, today I especially feel that way, okay? I'm reminded of a poem that I heard many years ago, and it goes something like this, I'm paraphrasing. Gabriel, what use is your message to Marie unless you can give the same message to me? Has anybody ever heard that? Okay, yeah. And I wish I could know the poet's name, but I don't. We'll find out. So again, what is the message? The message is the divine is within you. Okay. And so I would like you to hold two thoughts at the same time. One is the divine is within us. That's the essential essence of our being. And the other thing is we are so human. And so we struggle, we hurt, we fail, we succeed. We have all of that, all the human experiences there. And all the failings of it, all the weaknesses of it. I'm going to talk a little bit about weaknesses here. Okay. So what I just wanted to share with you today, really where I am on the path here. And in Aikido, one of the things it does, it makes a very different kind of martial art, is its intention is for it to be of loving protection. Loving protection. So the founder said the first character is I, Aikido, I. I has many translations, as many Japanese words do. But he said it clearly. He said, I mean I as in love. Okay, I can mean love. So aimashite means I love you. So he saw it as a very central part of the art. And so it is an art for transformation, the Aikido is. And I feel very gifted and privileged to be doing what I've been doing for all this time and to see the fruits of it. And some of it does not come overnight. So all of these things and what I've been hinting at and with the beautiful opening that we had earlier, what everything is suggesting is that we want to allow the resonance that is already there of the divine. Is this making sense? Okay. So, but to say, okay, you know what? We're all already one with everything. Now, if everybody really, in their heart of hearts, believed that, then things would be different from the personal to the political to the global level, of course.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. And so there's, excuse my terms, counter forces. There are forces that are political forces. There's the social conditioning. There's all sorts of things that go counter to that. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So we need to continue to lean towards the light, and be the light, and allow the light. Yeah. So I think that's such a very important thing. I didn't know about East-West, by the way. I didn't. That's good. So that's a little bit of a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a real mainstay here in the valley. So.
For sale.
It's for
It's
sale.
for sale.
For sale.
They're saying that they're hoping that it will carry on in the same kind of tradition, but the
Okay.
Ananda is just busy with other things that they feel that they need to let go now. But they're hoping that the spiritual metaphysical community will.
Let's pass that.
Okay. Maybe so.
Let's buy it, everybody goes.
Yeah. That's an idea.
Boy, we're still looking.
Okay, so we need a lot more. We need a lot more lights. You know, we need to keep doing that. I think particularly in our valley here, I think we're at a crucial tipping point right now about which way things are going to go. It's sort of representative of the world in a lot of ways, I think. So one of the things I'd like to share with you is, what is it, if you've heard that old joke about the Zen master goes and she orders a hot dog, and the hot dog maker says, well, what will you have? And she says, I'll have one with everything. Well, in the Aikido, what we're talking about is everything really is connected. We're all really connected. Okay. Again, that resonance back to oneness. But for most of us, unless you are very rare, that's too big. That's too much all at once. Just, I'm one with everything, and now everything's great. Okay? And I'll act as such to my other folks here in the world. Okay? So, in terms of letting go of maybe our smaller thinking and going to our greater selves, most of us need ways. We need help. We need support. So this is some of the things that have been of help in my life, and I wanted to share this with you. One of the things, as we start down this journey, is you want to think, why is it that people just aren't more accepting? And lots of times people will point to children and say, they do not have layers of conditioning yet. They're pretty accepting, and yet they can have all sorts of stuff going on, but they're pretty accepting of each other, just looking at that one thing. What happens as they get older, as they're past 6 months or a year or 5 or 10 or whatever? Okay? So again, there is social conditionings. There's a lot of things that are there. And so what's built into that is what is the lens, what is the scrim that people are looking at the world through and that we look at each other through? So I'm suggesting this is that we all have a limited view in our perspective. As you settle, as you come into your own centeredness more, clarity begins to come. You know, I think that's this beautiful opening that you did, very much. It helps to lead us into that, so that we're operating out of our own center. Okay. So some of the assumptions that I think that we run into is, one, that, you know, we're separate. Everything is separate. And that just leads to more separateness if you keep going down that lane. So that's one of the assumptions that's there. Another assumption, of course, is that the divine is off in heaven somewhere. It's not here. Okay. That also is a note of separation. Yeah. Okay. So coming back to, it's here. It's within you. So there's a few closer on the ground I would refer to these assumptions as. So in my work, one of the things that I run into is that people saying, well, and I talk about regenesis, the name comes from regeneration, that's what it promotes. And our bodies have that within them. So Janet graciously shared her story about the work that we did. But as my teacher, Bob Rasmussen, who was the founder of Regenesis, taught me, is that her system is a star. It's coming out of her being, it's coming out of her cells. That potential for that healing was already there. I helped to facilitate that, gave it a jump start maybe, but it was already within her to do that. Okay? See, so again, I'm going to keep touching on this note throughout my little talk here, is it always comes back to that. It is within us. Yeah. So even on a cellular level, it's within us. So the body's capacity to regenerate is already within us. It's dormant in us as adults for the largest point, but it doesn't have to be. And regenesis is one way in which that can be reignited. So the assumption that that can't happen, oh no. That conditions, that's irreversible. You were told, right?
Right.
That's irreversible. This is the most common thing that people will tell me when they come to see me is, I've been told by a doctor that you're going to have this the rest of your life and it's never going to change. Okay? That static thinking
Keeps it there.
keeps us there.
Exactly.
And if people buy into that, then it will surely even be more true. Okay, that will manifest this, yes? So the other thing is that, and I'll be running into this with the Aikido all the time, is there such a thing as energy? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Can't see it.
Right. So with the work that I do, you know, both the healing work and really all the work I do, it's like, for me, that's never been a question because I experience it every day. You know? And some of us even see it. We all can sense it. We all can tune into that. Given half a chance. Given half a chance. That's also, that can be a real barrier to more, to letting go to the more of you. But I want to talk a moment about weaknesses, what we perceive as weaknesses. So our perception has a lot to do with it, this is true. So let's say that there's something you think is, you know, perhaps not your best trait or your best quality. What I want to tell you is that your weakness is based on hidden strengths. Okay? So again, there is a deeper power. There is a deeper strength within you. Okay? So in the Aikido, that is a opportunity to have a transformative process to find out what is that strength that's under there. Okay. So again, if we relax and open, and what was, you know, which again, nothing, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, and what you've already, with your beautiful opening you did here today, it's a chance to change in dimensionality. Okay. From our hurried mind and our troubled mind and our busy minds, and you know, busy is better. I mean, there's an assumption for you. Okay. And we got to be careful of these things when they're put into motion, because this is where I'm really going to show my age. Are young people who are, multitasking? There's got to be a new term, because they're doing more than that, and they really feel split and multi is better. Okay, but when pressure comes on the system, that's when things break down. And usually split is not better, not in the fractionized way that I'm talking about. Okay. Is it making sense? You're with me so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things that we work with in the Aikido is pairs of opposites in dynamic harmony. Okay. Things that are seemingly different and opposite, and maybe even conflictual, but they are, if we allow its dimensionality, they are complementary. Okay. So the classic example is like the Daichi, the yin and yang symbol. Okay. So that's where things are in dynamic harmony and balance. Okay. And you notice that if you see those, the two komoyas, the Japanese word for like the drips.
Right.
Okay. There's the white dot and the black komoy.
Yeah.
Okay. And a black dot in the white, right? Yeah. Am I saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's, again, it's dynamic. That's what it says to me. Is the idea there is it's dynamic. Okay. It's always and these things shift and move and everything. So weaknesses. As you change in dimensionality, so if you take something that's, say, it might even be repugnant to you. So if you know a man who's a womanizer, okay? Okay, he's a womanizer on one level of his being. Now, what I'm seeing is there's a possibility for more. He has to be open to it. But sometimes you see this. There are men that will be a womanizer earlier in their life, and perhaps they get married, perhaps they have a family, maybe now they become more of, they become committed, maybe committed. And then as they grow into that, maybe they become a family man, okay? And so they become more of a full, I would call it a full masculine. And again, within that full masculine, say if this is this particular individual's psychology, there's always at the heart of that, there's always the feminine that's there too. Okay? So that's part of the whole. That's part of the whole. Is this making sense? Okay. All right. Yeah, so this whole thing about relaxing and settling into your greater self, your fuller self, that's both transformative and it's transmuting. So I'm using those terms in this way. Is transformation, although they are used interchangeably. Transformation is you're changing the shape of something. Transmutation is more like lead into gold. So that's what the mythologies have told us for a long time, is that you can go from a base matter within yourself to the divine. Yeah. Does this make sense? Okay.
So you become spiritual alchemist.
Exactly. And that's what the Aikido is to me at this point. Is it's alchemical Aikido. You know? So you're changing. So one thing is transmuting into another. The substance is changing. Okay. So, what do you think?
Doing it so far.
Good.
John, can
Yes.
you do that 3 times a day? Is it not? It's not something that you only change every 20 years. Don't you find that sometimes you change more than that just in one day?
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, we've all probably done it this morning, I dare say. Okay.
Yeah, that shower is transformative.
That shower is, that's, for me, it's shower, or maybe a good cup of coffee.
Yeah,
They're- We're different people, okay? So we're multidimensional beings, okay? And we're making those shifts all the time. So, this happens, it doesn't happen all the time with every person, but it can happen in anybody. You can see some light, some divine light shining out of somebody. Okay. More than once, I've had a homeless person say something to me. It was the highest wisdom.
That's right.
And I've seen it. I've seen a radiance that's coming from their face and their eyes, and it's there, you know. And is it there 24 hours a day for that person? Probably not. They're probably a human being like me. But all that it's there at all, that speaks to the fact that it really is within all of us. Okay. So I think all the practices, all the disciplines we have, and the support we have from our organizations and everything, we need all the help we get, all the help we can get, so that we really stay close to that and keep touching on that note, on that resonance of connection, oneness, beingness. Okay? Yeah. So, in the big picture, that's pretty much all I have to say. However, let me just tell you a couple of things too, is that be on the lookout for wild facts, okay, or inconvenient facts, okay, because that's a crack in the world of, shall we just call it the world of agreement that generally people think about, you know, this is that. Oh, I did want to say this too, with regards to science, which I'm really for, okay, but there is such a thing as sciencism. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
If you go on YouTube, I remember this one scientist's name. He's real cutting edge, and there's others who are like him as well. Bruce Lipton.
Yeah.
Okay, and he lays it out so clearly. So there's a 2-hour lecture. I thought, I'll only listen to a couple of minutes of this. I was transfixed, and what he was talking about was cell science. And he went through it very logically and step by step. Anybody could understand it, which is what I really love about good teaching. And he said, you know, the thing is, without energy in the mix, if you leave, it's incomplete. So the science is incomplete. So energy, consciousness, that has to be in the mix. And he talks about, lays out clearly, A, B, C. It's a very logical sequence he goes through. And so that needs to be introduced too. So again, see, we're going back to that, you know, energy, oneness, divine, maybe a little divine. Yes.
The interesting fact about science is they cannot define the energy.
Yeah.
That's problematic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Smitty.
You know, there's a number of things that have been. Some have been very well documented. I believe there was a gentleman in India who was perhaps a yogi, but he had been doing this discipline for a long time. And he was actually buried underground. They had sensors on him and everything. They watched his heart rate go down to 0 or near 0. He was there for 8 days.
Yes.
Okay. There is no, and then he, when he said he would, his heartbeat came back and his vitals returned and everything. They unearthed him and there he was healthy. That's not supposed to happen. That would be said, that's impossible. So what do you do with that fact? What do you do with, here it is. Well, you deny it. You say it's fakery. Okay. It just can't be. Yeah. This is the frustration about doing an Aikido demonstration in public. Especially if I've only had 10 or 20 minutes to do it. And Janet's been there. You know, she's been in the audience, so she lets me know, and my other friends let me know what people in the audience are saying. It says people, maybe, you know, 80, 90, 100 people there. And so if Aikido is done really well, it looks and is effortless. And it really does look fake. And I try to address that in 10 minutes. It's kind of hard. So I'll have, you know, one of my, you know, top students attack me full speed, full power. And just effortlessly, that's dispelled. Okay? And, oh, you know, he must be going down for it. That's it. You know, just doesn't, no, this can't really, this is not real. Okay? But it is. You know? So, and the same thing with the regenesis, and the same thing in any healing work I do, and et cetera, et cetera. You know? I thought I sensed a question. Which is great. You know, I like,
It was the energy in the room.
yeah. I like this being more of a dialogue than strictly a monologue. Yes?
How did you come into Aikido?
Well, the very first time I heard about it, I was with my friend on the wrestling team in high school. And we had come back from practice, and his sister had driven us. And we were around my mother's kitchen table, and my mother's very gregarious and social and welcoming, and she was serving us a dessert. And by the way, thank you for your peach cobbler. Your peach cobbler reminds me of my mother's peach cobbler. Okay, so it's very special. Thank you so much. Yes. And so, and she's just, she's makes a very good setting. Creates a resonance for people to be very social. And so we're having a very nice conversation there, and my friend says to his older sister, says, well, I don't know how you got off this. Well, tell them what's her name, that she could make herself heavier or lighter at will. And they had lived in Japan. The father was in the Air Force, and they lived on Air Force Base, but their particular high school, I guess, had access to the surrounding community. And anyway, there's this girl, she'd been dating an Aikido instructor, and she could do, just by directing her energy or feeling down or up, she could make herself lighter. Well, she could make herself almost, for the boys in the high school, they couldn't lift her. But then she could make herself liftable. Yeah. I can teach anything the same. Yeah. So again, it's a really cool thing, and again, it's that capacity is within all of this. Yeah. So I'm always telling my students, what we should be shooting for is, in the case of the Aikido, we should be seeking to be like the founder, like O-sensei, the great teacher. Okay? That's what we should aspire to. Okay? So again, it's what should we aspire to? What are you aspiring to?
Greatness.
Exactly. Exactly.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. And I think if we're denying anything, it's our own greatness. A community, as a global community. If we would seek to allow our own greatness and know that that's okay. Okay. And be able to distinguish that I'm not talking about being a demagogue. Okay. It's a totally different thing. Yes?
What about if you're not comfortable in peace and calm and all that? So you're learning to be peace, calm, happy, comfortable, quiet, and you're trying to switch from all things fast, rough, hard to that. That sometimes it goes back and forth really quick.
It does.
Like seconds.
It does.
It does. Okay.
Yeah.
You're checking.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, it's true. No, you're not the only one.
You're checking.
Yeah. So again.
But it is me, right?
Pardon me?
It is me that flips.
Yeah. It's like what channel are we attuning to? Okay. That makes sense? No? Okay. Let me go back to what I said earlier, is that if I find myself going back and forth, what I want to practice is self-acceptance. What I want to practice is acceptance of that moment. Does that make sense? Okay. That's the doorway. Rather than trying to force fit myself into some ideal. Okay. I think that's the thing too, is that, when people are in crisis, I think they all, as we all do, want to be connected with, want to be heard, understand what if you're listening to them, they want you to get like where they really are at that point. It might not be the best moment to quote a platitude. Okay? Might not be the best moment. God loves you. Don't worry. Be happy.
But not right now.
Okay.
Fine.
Yes. Right. Yes.
Fine.
Yeah. Does that address?
Yeah, I got it. I got what you're saying now.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah.
What is Aikido? I mean, is it a dessert or?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked it, because what shocks me, so I teach classes in Aikido and other things as well at Mission College. And I was handing out flyers to people about the Aikido class coming up. I actually started yesterday, which was a lovely little class. It's just really great. And I'm surprised at how many people say, well, what is Aikido? I thought people at least know that it's a martial art of some sort. No. Most do not have a clue.
Right, I mean, and you say martial art, but
What does that mean?
you know, this body isn't really into martial arts, you know. When you say martial arts, I maybe think that's something you do in the bedroom. I don't know.
Right, yes, yes.
So,
That's marital arts?
exactly.
Yeah, well, the founder of Aikido was already an accomplished martial artist in that he was a soldier in a couple of wars. He had certainly had, you know, contest matches with people, things like that. And when he created Aikido, he did design it to be something that was fundamentally different. And one of the things that as he grew in power, he said, well, what is my purpose? What is this power for? And he actually went through a period of deep depression after becoming the toughest guy in the valley.
Wow.
Okay? He went into a state of deep depression. Not exaltation, depression. And so he spent time in the mountains, and he'd run through the mountains saying, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? You know, what's this power for? And then his great enlightenment was, in short, oh, true martial arts, the essence of that is for loving protection. Loving protection.
The gentle way.
Yeah. Okay. But we need to really, that's something though, it's like, we need not to just give this lip service. You know. It needs to be something, and this is what we practice, is that something that really is a living reality. So even in the face of receiving an honest attack, harmony can come out of that. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. Not just, and so, yeah, martial arts always, the idea that it brings up is like fighting and what nowadays what's MMA and all the cage fighting and stuff like that. That's usually where a lot of people's minds go. Okay?
Yeah, violence.
Yeah, certainly violent. So Aikido is referred to as,
And they suck off of it.
I'm sorry?
If there's a big energy to it and they suck off of it.
Yeah. And I want my piece of that big energy too.
I want to be big.
So,
Strong.
yes. So you're reminding me again of the story of the founder's life, is that he started out really as a very frightened little boy. He saw his father beat up when he was young. Okay? So that's how he started out. Okay? And then at some point growing into his adulthood, he says, well, I want to become strong. I want to become strong and protect my family. And then becoming a very good warrior, right? And actually being in wars. But then it's like, why does, at the price of victory, somebody always has to lose? See the fractionizing there? See the split? No? So he says, there's got to be a better way. And that and the other experience I told you about. Aikido is for loving protection. So you're learning to take a force that's coming towards you, and it's an attacking force. It's and as we practice it, people get better at doing it, even a better coordinated attacking force. How do you deal with that? So what we practice in short is absorbing and redirecting that. And there are some choices that you have there, and you can make, as I tell my students, I need to show you, this is the more severe application, this is the more harmonious one, so that you can choose. And also so they don't accidentally hurt each other. That's also.
Is this done just by hands, or with poles, or with?
Most of it is empty hand. We have a couple of tools. I call them tools rather than weapons. One is a staff, and the other is a wooden sword bookend. But those are actually to become better at doing this empty-handed. And the whole idea is practicing this. In short, in the Aikido, is you're learning to tap into and channel energies. That's it.
So when can you come back and do a whole demonstration for us?
Whenever you like.
Would you be interested?
Well, this would be great because you already have some idea, hopefully, about what it is. And so we can really give you a manifestation of that philosophy in action.
Is Aikido and Tai Chi similar type of philosophy?
I think Qigong.
I mean, Tai Chi, Qigong, Aikido, is there a flow between them?
For me, there is, and I've had considerable background in all of those. So I see there's a great, there are some differences, but there's more commonality than difference. But all of those are internal practices for one thing. So it's not dependent upon, you're learning, it's a different paradigm. So that's one of the things it asks you to do is mind and body together. You're asked to make a shift. So most of us think of issuing power from the upper body. You know, big arms and shoulders and, you know, upper back and chest. That's what most of us do as a default setting. And this asks you to operate really more from your core, from your center, as we say. And that's a deep learning, by the way.
Is it also a spiritual practice?
For me it is, yes. And so you're going to hear different answers from different people, but for me it certainly is, because I'll bring some of the posters that we've created over the years that have like a quick reference to our approach and what we do and everything. And on one end of that you'll see oneness, okay? And so as you're doing these practices, there certainly would be considered, yeah, oh, that's a martial technique, you can see that, that's a joint lock. But the content of it is characteristically different than what most people would think, okay? So because it's always going back to, we're not separate. Myself and the attacker are not separate. So we're taking a fairly severe situation, and it's always controlled, and it's always a very user-friendly way, gradiated, that we train in. Again, I want a safe, positive, creative environment, you know.
And I will bend you to my will, right?
And I will bend you to my will.
That's right.
Hopefully there will be a moment of enlightenment there. And let me give you a practical example. Let me give you a practical example. There are these two stories. These are both Aikidos that I know. Neither one of them black belts, by the way, but they'd been training for a while. Okay, so they'd been in the flow of things for a while. So in the one case, there's this gentleman, Daniel by name, and he had done some serious prison time and been in gangs, been a boxer. Okay, you know, had a pretty rough life growing up. Okay, and he came to Aikido. He's a very creative individual. He's a poet and all this. So he was drawn to the Aikido. One day he had an altercation with, I guess it was an acquaintance who didn't like the way he fixed his car. Friend of a friend. Anyway, tempers were high, and the guy called him on the phone. I'm going to come over and punch you out. Okay, and so Daniel, who's certainly known the rough and tumble, he's walking back and forth. He says, I know this guy's going to come over here. He's probably going to try to take my head off. He says, you know, I know I could punch him out because he has the skill. He's been a boxer and whatnot. He says, but you know, this Aikido thing, that just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know. And anyway, so the guy, he roars up, jumps out of the car, and yes, does run over and swings a big punch at him. And he did one of our Aikido movements, okay, using the Aikido principles. And he just sort of spun around and fell, his acquaintance who was attacking him. And the result of that was, one, he didn't know how that happened. He didn't know how he got on the ground. It was like, what happened? I can understand him hitting me back. That I can understand. But now I'm on the ground. I don't know how I got here. And he stood up and looked at him, shook his head, got back in his car. And went. So that was a pretty good outcome, considering.
It was a moment of enlightenment.
And he, pardon?
It was a moment of enlightenment.
So that's like really a physical combat situation. The other, how are we on time?
We're out.
We're like well
You
out
got
of
3
time.
minutes.
Do I have 3 minutes? Okay, very quickly. So another person, she was working at a daycare center. No, I'm sorry, teaching kindergarten.
Same thing.
No, it was daycare. Anyway, because they're like really young kids, and they were all taking naps. And I think she had one aide. There's like 44 kids. I mean, there are a lot of kids in this room. Okay. What happened was there was a man who came in, big, burly, no shirt on, and looking very frightening. He shows up in the doorway, and there's these kids sleeping there. Okay, she's on the opposite side of the room. Okay, so this is a different situation, right? Okay, she just doesn't have just herself to consider. So there's all these little ones that are there. So he starts to make an aggressive move to her, and she slowly stood up, and she just stood there. She didn't make an aggressive move back. And when he got within about 6, 8 feet, he just suddenly stopped. And she says, "Oh, this must be the energy field that they're always talking about." Okay? And he stopped, and then he said, "They're trying to get me." And she says, "Okay, it's okay." And he says, "Yes, they want to hurt me." And then 2 police officers showed at the door. Okay? And then then he said, "Yes, they want to hurt me." And so she turned to them and she says, you don't want to hurt him, do you?" And again, very calm, very centered. And they said, "No, we're not." And the officers really responded well. They got on board real quick. They said, "No, we don't want to hurt him." And so he actually calmed down. She was able to go over to him and touch him just lightly, okay? And his breathing settled down. And then she just sort of ushered him out. He just sort of turned on his own pretty much. And that was a change of heart. That was a shift in consciousness there.
Wow.
From, well, and they found out later he had escaped from a facility, a locked facility.
Wow.
He was paranoid schizophrenic. So he was in full mode. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. But that's the shift that could happen.
The energy.
Wow.
Yeah. Now.
Reaction to the energy.
Yes.
So when are you teaching?
Yeah.
I know there's some flyers out on the desk.
Yeah.
Tell us when, what, when,
Okay.
where, and how.
Well, my dojo, my Aikido school, is just about a block away, block and a half away. You know Gish, right over here? We're on 111 Gish. Okay.
That's powerful.
Yes. 111 Gish. Oneness. Gish. Yeah. So we're there on Monday nights from, I have some brochures with the info on it too, but we're there Monday nights from 6:30 to 9, Wednesdays from 7 to 8:30, Tuesday night 6:30 to 7:30 we have a children's class. So that's that class, and also there's the class you can still enroll if you wish through Mission College, where I've been teaching there for 16 years. That's Aikido class on Monday morning from 9 to 12.
No, we'd rather give you the money.
Pardon me?
We'd rather give you the money.
Okay, that sounds good too.
Yeah,
I like that fun.
How much are the classes?
Our monthly dues is currently $120 a month. So you can come to all the classes that we offer. And
But, so you come to all 3, 4 times?
Twice a week.
probably a total of 3. I invite my dojo students to come to the class admission if they wish.
Holy
So that
smokes,
gives- so
we could
yes.
be full of you.
Okay. Quirky.
In the best way.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to say I feel very privileged and honored to be here at the center with everybody I'm getting to know and everything. Thank you very much for having me here. And it's wonderful energy. The clients I've had who've come thus far, they just all love the energy. Yes. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.